DrYasapa from Zion Law School. All right, welcome. Today, I'm going to talk about why are there so many Christ figures? So are there 13 Christ figures? Are there 30 Christ figures? Are there 37 Christ figures? So why is that? So JC, Christ figure of the New Testament, right? But before JC, it's said to have been 13 Christ figures before him. And in other cases, it said that there were 37 different Christ figures during different eras of time, and in different countries and cultures. How do you explain that? That's the question. How do you explain that? Now, this is not an argument for or against Christianity. This discussion is simply to explain why there are so many Christ figures, okay? And that's it. Nothing more, all right? Nothing more than that. All right. For example, I think the best known Christ figure, in other words, the Christ figure who's most widely known, came about 300 or so, maybe 323, 330, something like that, years before JC, the Christ figure of the New Testament. That Christ figure's name was Serapis, okay? Serapis Christos Salter, okay? Serapis Christos Salter. He was Christ figure, right? He was Christ figure and a savior, and his followers were said to, or he would be with his followers even in death. Okay, so same story with Serapis. Some people call him Serapis, right? Osiris, that's where the O comes from. Serapis, Osiris and Apis. The Apis, the bull, y'all remember the bull Apis? All right, the bull Apis. By the way, you take note that during that time, that was the era of the bull, right? That was the era of the bull. So you had the bull, and when you think or when you talk about astrotheology, you have to consider the sun. So the bull Apis. Let me rephrase that. The children of Israel made a golden calf, right? They made a golden calf. Why? Why did they make that golden calf? Because they were following after the Egyptians, right? So if they made a golden calf, it only stands to reason that the Egyptians also had a golden calf, correct? Correct? Right, because they were copying what they were doing in Egypt. So the calf is the bull, the constellation, the bull, okay? And its color is gold. Gold, why? Because the sun is yellow, or you could say gold. Everybody see that? So the sun in Taurus the bull. Y'all got it? The calf was golden because the sun is in Taurus the bull. Everybody see that? All right, so now let's keep going. So Serapis is the most widely known, but there are others between 13 and 30. I think the most I've heard of is 37. All right, you can get a list of them if you want to. So why is that? Does this take away the take away from the authenticity of the Christ figure of the New Testament? Or does it add to the authenticity of the Christ figure of the New Testament? Or does it mean absolutely nothing? It doesn't affect that story at all. Okay? Well, you decide. That's your decision to make. I'm going to give you the information. And you ask critical questions. Answer those critical questions through research, not opinions, right? Through evidence and facts, not opinions and not doctrine. All right. If you do that, you're gonna be misled. All right. So all these things, there's a cost to it. All right. So here we go. All right. So the natural year begins in the spring, right? The natural year begins in the spring. And then we have 4 seasons. We have spring, summer, fall or autumn, and winter. Right? Those are the 4 seasons. Now, does every landmass have 4 seasons? No. Every landmass does not have 4 seasons. North America has 4 seasons for sure. Right? North America, what they're calling the United States of America, right? That has 4 seasons: spring, summer, autumn or fall, and winter. All right. So now let's put this thing together. The question is, why are there so many Christ figures occurring in so many different cultures, in so many different nations, in so many different eras of time? That's the question. And by the way, I forgot to mention this. Also consider maybe none of this is true. Maybe none of it's true. Maybe some author just sat down and wrote it all. You consider that too, right? Consider all possibilities that you can think of. Why? Because you're thinking, right? You're thinking. You're being critical and thinking. See? Read suspiciously and think critically. All right? Don't accept anything just because somebody said it. Otherwise, you will be, as they say, a steak on their table. Or you can be. All right, so now let's get into it. The question that we're asking is clear. So now let's get into it. The spring equinox is also called the vernal equinox, all right? That's when the year begins. The sun is ascending. It's rising, right? Well, better yet, let's start in winter. Let's start in winter. In wintertime, what's happening? December 21st and 22nd, the sun is at its lowest point in its annual orbit. It's in the south. December 21st, December 25th, the sun is in the southern part of the celestial heavens, right? It's at its lowest point in its orbit that occurs in the south on December 21st, December 22nd. You should remember these dates. All right? Now, from December 22nd, 23rd, and then 12 o'clock midnight on the 24th, which is actually what? The 25th. The sun appears to be standing still. Now, how can anyone say the sun appears to be standing still when you're not there to actually see the sun, right? Well, the way you know that is by looking at a sundial, right? You look at a sundial, and for those 3 days, the sundial will not, the shadow cast will not be moved. All right? The shadow cast by the sundial will not move for 3 days. All right? Let me say it again. The shadow cast by the sundial will not move for those 3 days. Or let me repeat that. Let me restate it. There is no perceivable movement of the shadow of the sundial for those 3 days. Y'all got it? All right. No perceivable movement of the shadow of the sun, S-U-N, sun. Therefore, the sun is said to be dead because it was once moving and it stops all of a sudden. In other words, the shadow of the sundial moved, right? It moved all year round. That shadow of the sundial moved, okay? But now, December 21st, 22nd, let me repeat that. December 22nd, 23rd, 24th, all the way up until midnight, there's no movement. Okay, so remember this. Therefore, the S-U-N sun is said to have died. 12 o'clock midnight, December 24th, which is December 25th, that shadow moves. The shadow finally moves. Okay, and so what the astronomers say is that you can perceive the movement of the S-U-N sun on December 25th, right, or December 24th at 12 midnight, because by then the sun has moved a full 1 degree. It has ascended or sprang forward 1 degrees. Understand that? So now, when you look at the shadow of the sundial, you see movement. Now the sun has been what? Reborn. The sun has been reborn. Y'all got that? The sun has been reborn. The S-U-N sun has been reborn. Now, y'all might remember, we talked about several videos ago, that the S-U-N sun and the S-O-N sun are actually one and the same. Okay, in English, the O was used to replace the U. All right, and there is a time when the O and the U were used interchangeably. Y'all understand me? The O and U in sun were used interchangeably. Okay, now they've made two separate words, S-O-N sun and S-U-N sun. So I'm talking about a grammar rule, all right? So this is why grammar rules are so important. This is why if you haven't subscribed to the 101 Ancient Ibaryath course, our streaming online course, if you haven't subscribed, you need to go subscribe now. Everything that I talk about, all of this information, I know it because it's the Ibaryath. It's the Ibaryath that pulls it out. All right? Every scholar who comes to Zion Law School will tell you about the significant improvement that they experience on their reading comprehension and attention to detail. All right? Because when you start to learn these linguistic concepts and principles, you just become better. You start to see things that you don't see. All right? Things begin to make sense. And when you see concepts and principles at work, it's already in your mind, okay? You see what the other people won't see, all right? So this is how you get good. This is how you get better, all right? I can't do it for you. You have to put the work in yourself, the energy, the activity, all right? It's only $10 a month. It's only $10 a month, so let's keep going. Now, it's important that the S-O-N sun is actually the S-U-N sun, right? And not only that, but the S-U-N sun and the S-O-N sun are not only one and the same, but what? But each and every one of us has the S-U-N sun inside of us, right? So if you have the S-U-N Son inside of you, you also have the S-O-N Son inside of you, right? Only makes sense because it's the same word, right? And that is that energetic force, that power that heats your body, that power that heats your body, that power that gives you the energy to animate, okay? The energy to animate, all right? That is your energy. Some people might say life, all right? That which makes you alive, okay? So now let's go back to it. Let's go back to it. This is why, also think about this. Your son is supposed to be what? Your son. Your son is supposed to be what? Your son is the light of your life, right? Your son is the light of your life. But here's the trick question. Is that talking about your male child, S-O-N son? Okay, is that talking about your female child who also has S-O-N son and her animating her, giving her the energy to animate, right? Or is it the son in you that's the light of your life? So you have to think about these things, right? Don't just accept them. Think about them. Reach your own conclusions. So now let's continue. Let's continue. So now the sun moves a full 1 degree forward. It begins its annual ascension northward. The sun is springing forward, right? The sun was dead for 3 days in hell. The sun was resurrected. The S-U-N Son was resurrected. And he came back just like he promised he would, right? Just like he promised he would. He said he would return, right, y'all? The Son said that he would return. Who's the Son? JC, the Christ figure, right? JC, the Christ figure, said he would return, right? JC, the Christ figure, died, was in the grave for 3 days, and then he was resurrected. He returned. All right, y'all? So now, the sun is ascending upward. The sun is ascending northward. The sun is springing forward, springing up, all the way until it reaches what? The vernal equinox, which is the spring equinox, right? This is Aries. This is Aries, the beginning of the natural year. The sun is now what? The sun is in the what? The holy temple. The S-U-N Son is in the holy temple. Okay? The Christ figure, JC, the Christ figure, he ascended up into heaven. He ascended up into heaven, right? Caught up in a cloud, ascended up in heaven. Okay, y'all? So now the S-U-N Son ascends up, springs into the vernal equinox, which is the constellation or the zodiac sign Aries. Aries is what? The temple of God. Okay? So now the Son, the Christ, is in the temple of God, or the holy temple. Y'all got it? Now the sun continues to ascend. The sun continues ascending until June, somewhere around June 21st, when the sun reaches its highest point in its annual orbit. It reaches its highest point in the northern sky. The sun reaches its highest point in the northern sky. It reaches its zenith, right? The sun reaches its zenith in the northern sky. June 21st, I believe it is. Okay? Sun is called, at this point, the sun becomes the Christ. Okay? Christ. Now, y'all remember, the question is, why are there so many Christ figures? Why are there so many Christ figures? So what's the sign for June 21st? What's the zodiac sign? That would be Leo the lion, if I remember correctly. So Christ is what? The lion of the tribe of Judah? Or who's the lion of the tribe of Judah? Right? So we're in June 21st, we're in the constellation, the lion, the tribe of Judah. The lion of the tribe of Judah. Leo the lion. All right? Y'all follow me? Now, the sun has no place to go but what? South or down. So the sun begins falling. The sun is falling. Falling. The sun is descending southward. The sun is descending southward, falling down. Then the sun falls into the autumn equinox. This is the season of the year that we call the fall. Okay? Autumn is called the fall. Why? Because the sun fell down. The sun is falling down. Right? The sun is falling down. All right, y'all? Okay. All right. Oh, I forgot to mention, y'all. I forgot to mention this. Let's go back to the spring equinox. Okay, so when the sun is ascending upward, it's going to pass over. It's going to pass over the celestial equator. In Christianity, they call that the Last Supper of the Christ or something like that. And in Judaism, they call it the Passover. All right, y'all? Okay? All right, now let's go back over to the autumn equinox, fall. Now, the sun will fall below the autumn equinox. Y'all got that? The sun falls below the autumn equinox. This is when Christ is crucified. Christ is crucified when the sun crosses below the celestial equator in autumn. Y'all got that? Everybody see that? All right, good, excellent. What happens next? What happens next? Do you recall? If you don't recall, go back and watch all of the 200 plus or maybe even 250 plus hours of astrotheology content that I provided for you right here on YouTube channel. This YouTube channel is free. All right, so get it. If you don't know the answer, go back and get it. Now, the sun crosses below, the sun is crucified, the sun crosses below the celestial equator, and it continues its fall or its descent southward until September 29th. Y'all might have to check these dates, okay? September 29th, when the sun enters into the gates of hell. September 29th, this is the opening of the gates of hell. All right, y'all? So the sun continues to descend downward. And in wintertime, what's happening? Well, in fall, it's getting the daytime hours are increasing. In winter, what happens? Nighttime overtakes the darkness, and the sun becomes humiliated. Why is the sun humiliated? Well, clearly because there are more nighttime hours than daylight hours. The sun didn't have the power, if you will, to bring forth its light so that the number of daylight hours are greater than or equal to the nighttime hours. So the sun gets humiliated. JC, the Christ figure in the New Testament, he also gets humiliated, right? The sun continues to descend downward, and it continues to descend southward, until it reaches its lowest point in the celestial heavens, which is what? Which is hell. The deepest, densest, darkest, bottomless pit of hell. December 21st, 22nd. Y'all see that? Then the whole process will repeat itself. The sun will not move, so it's said to be dead for 3 days. Then it gets resurrected on December 25th, and then it springs forward, ascends northward, crosses or passes over rather the celestial equator, which is the Passover, right? Oh, but let me go back. I forgot to mention something. When the sun is resurrected, December 25th, sometime between December 25th and January, you see what? You see a cross. The Christ is what? Hung on a cross. Christ is hung on the cross. However, this is a celestial phenomenon. If you go in South America, Brazil, or any one of those countries, in late December or around January 6th or sometime around there, you'll see stars that are aligned like a cross. This is Christ crucified. It's called the Southern Crux, C-R-U-X. There is no man hung on that cross. Again, there is no man hung on that cross. It's a celestial phenomenon. Christ crucified. Okay? I believe it was Constantine who put JC the Christ figure on the cross. All right? Y'all understand that? You understand the significance of that? Do you understand the significance of that? And now the whole process repeats itself. The S-U-N sun passes over the celestial equator. Okay? We have the spring equinox, the vernal equinox. The whole process repeats itself. I won't repeat it right now. So why are there so many Christ figures throughout history? Throughout varying time periods, eras of time, across many nations, across many cultures. Why is it? I would suggest that you consider the astrotheology of it. Could it be that each of these nations during their time had a profound knowledge of astronomy, and they told the story that I just told you, or that I just conveyed to you, and they passed it on to the next nation. And it was not a religious thing at all. It was a story about the sun's annual course through the celestial heavens. An almanac of sorts, if you will, to guide your life by your travel, right? Your travel, navigating through the stars, and then also your decision making. Navigate your life's decisions. Huh? Y'all think about that. And then that information was passed down from one culture to another, and then the conquerors got a hold of it, and what did they do? They religiousized, or they remixed it. That's the word I like to do. They remixed it. And they gave the name of the S-U-N sun, etc., that was used in each of those cultures. They changed those names and made them into deities. Y'all follow me? Think about it. Which seems more likely, more probable to you? It's the same old story. Okay? It was the science. It is the science. It was that scientific information conveyed as a metaphor across eras of time, across cultures, and across nationalities. And when the conquerors got a hold of it, perhaps it was the Goths and the Vandals, perhaps it was our own ancestors who did it. I have no idea. However, we do see evidence of the deification of natural phenomena today. We see the evidence of that today. Right? Okay, y'all? All right. I'm Dr. Yasapa from Zion Law School. If you like the way I teach, if you like the work that we're doing, if you think that Ancient Ibaryath is something that every Moor and every Yasharala man and woman should know, if you think that reading comprehension is extremely important, if you think that natural law is extremely important, and that all of us need to learn it and live by it, if you think that these astrotheology videos that we're doing, cosmology videos that we're doing, and esoteric Christianity or esoteric New Testament videos that we're doing, if you think that these are important and valuable, consider making a one-time or recurring donation or investment. My Cash App is $, Dr. Yasapa, DrYasapa, DrYasapa, $DrYasapa. And then also, if you haven't subscribed to the streaming 101 Ancient Ibaryath course, which will give you the fundamentals of Ancient Ibaryath. This is not a religious course at all. It's not a religious course. All right, you're going to deal with it. Okay. So go ahead and subscribe. That is $10 per month. Cancel anytime. It's the best $10 that you'll ever spend. I can assure you of that. Everybody's invited to come to our live online curses course. The class is 506, the curses course. The links are in the description area of this video. Also, if you want to support us, I have about links to 7 different books. The 7 different books that we wrote and published. Everything is in the description area of this video. So reclaim your heritage. Return to the Most High. Remember that when you return to the Most High, the essence of that is following natural law. To follow natural law, you'll have to, of necessity, abandon all of your external deities. All of your external deities and your excuses. All right, so I'm Dr. Yasapa. Islam to all of the Moors, and Shalawama to the entire house of Yasharala.